Hi everyone, my name is Anthony James Hayes. You probably know me from Best from Brothers to Searching, and I'm so honored today that you meet me here. I want to talk about a little bit about my book. The first one I wrote was Journey of the Christians, From Dead Works to Living Faith, my very first book. It's about the story about me, pretty much going through things and how I overcome by the Word of God. And here is The New Kingdom with Liberty Man and Evil Stone. That's my second best book so far. And I want to take a little time to tell you about my second book mostly. The first one is about some children. They go to like an adventure. They go to see a new kingdom, the future, I guess you can say, of God and how He's going to restore the kingdom to Garden of Eden conditions. And they fight good and evil and light and darkness. So I encourage you to actually get these books. They're available on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. And then my second story, Liberty Man, a man who fights for freedom, and he takes off the chains of tyranny, of the kings of tyranny off of him. So he finally gets free, and I hope you find out his journey and how he got free and so on. And then my third book, The Evil Stone, a man who actually turned to the devil, or he sold his soul to the devil for a powerful magic stone. And he had the promise of ruling the world. So I hope you enjoy these books. They're available. And they're family friendly, and there's something you can learn with the Word of God. They're parables that you can teach your children and your grandchildren about. So I encourage you today to go to these places, and I hope you bless and you enjoy these books. Thank you.
You're about to embark on a journey through the written Word of God on subjects that deal with today. This is Brothers Just Searching.
How you doing, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Brothers Just Searching, where we talk about God's Word and current world events to educate and to edify the believers of Jesus Christ. I'm your host, Isaac Hayes, along with my co-hosts, Anthony Hayes and Bowen Roban. Guys, what is going on?
Well, I'm fighting a cold, malaria, and all kind of diseases right now.
I didn't bring my mask either.
Oh, no.
Well,
are we in a public setting? Because the governor said we have to wear them. I don't know.
Consider this a public setting?
I don't know. I just see two of my good friends, you know.
I just see a lot of friends here, but I don't see a public setting.
So you mean it's really your real face? It's not a mask?
Well, Boog, I can't answer that question because I never took off my mask yet.
Oh, okay. I was kind of confused.
Look, he can't be a two-faced. You think if he had a second one, he would keep that one on?
I'll keep the better one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
This is the best one I got. You don't want to see the other one.
Oh, no, I don't.
You know what really insults people about these masses and everything? Is when you have these people, like today I seen one, they had a guy driving in his truck by himself having a mask.
Having a mask on his face.
What's the purpose of you having a mask? Your truck got COVID?
Or he can't stand himself that much.
I'm guessing he might get sick just looking at himself in the reflection of the mirror.
I just can't believe all this mask stuff that they come out with.
Me neither. But anyway, back to that though. I had a buddy of mine bought one. It was a mask that he put over his face. And he said, Isaac, watch this. He put it, said, on the mask it read, "This mask is unnecessary."
You know what I'm
Really
going to buy?
people.
You know what I'm going to buy? I'm going to buy me some scuba gear.
I don't think even that was...
I'm going to buy the suit. Get the scuba gear with the breathing apparatus. I'm gonna have the face covering. I'm gonna look like an astronaut going to the moon.
Underwater.
Underwater.
and then when he comes up, he's gonna breathe like Darth Vader. That's your breathing?
Yo, you ever see Back to the Future?
Yes.
You ever saw that when that guy came out that car? He was in that barn, he come out that car, and that little guy shows his daddy a magazine. That's him. His daddy goes in the house, get the shotgun. Boom! The car takes off, going down the road. He shoots the mailbox. Boom!
and then that crazy thing says, "No!"
Anyway, but COVID, man. COVID's back around, you know.
COVID. So tired of hearing that name, they might as well flush that thing down the toilet.
And it makes you cold.
It don't make me cold. It makes me sick to my stomach.
And it makes you cold. COVID.
I got up this morning and I was puking in my toilet because that's all they talk about.
I know.
COVID.
You know, sometimes I'm looking at TV, I'm like, there's anything else in the cotton picking news to talk about?
Well, at least they don't have the numbers flash. Because you remember when Trump was there, they had to show how many people died and how many people got it.
Dude,
Biden got there. Apparently, nobody. Yeah, it's not newsworthy to put it on the screen. And
Dude, don't think they're not showing numbers.
Oh no, they're not. Yeah. They're not. Go look.
But
CNN,
hey,
ABC,
let me tell you now. This is what I heard, and I think it's a fact. Biden's numbers are down.
What for his polling?
For his polling.
Oh yeah.
Harris's numbers is in the minus. They told me. I heard that on the news.
So her brain's in the minus. What you talking?
So Biden's worse.
She ain't got a brain.
I'm sorry. We offended people. I'm sorry. I can't. You know.
Those of you that voted for Biden, you're better afraid.
Well, you don't have to vote no more to distill it.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to quote my good friend Scott Ford from the Scott Ford Show on this. Mm-hmm. He made an episode the other day saying, I would like a mean tweet, and I got to look at it. I like a mean tweet and some nasty words right now because he said, I'd rather have Trump's mean tweets and bad attitude than
have what we got right now.
And
at times like this, all we can say is, come quickly, Lord Jesus.
Oh, boy, I've been praying that. Boy, I pray that every night. Lord Jesus, please come. Come. I'm waiting.
Come quickly.
Come quick.
Come quickly.
I'm going to clap my hand. I hope you show up.
Don't be screaming, Moscow.
oh yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, I remember when Brother Coon told me that, boy. Oh, I laugh. He said, oh, look, Moscow. Then the raptor happened. He said, how about me, Lord? Lord said, Moscow.
Good memories, man. Some good memories.
He was going to sing one time. His wife, when she was alive, his wife told him, said, what are you going up there for? You can't sing.
Kind of like Brother Mike would tell me all the time. Brother Mike would tell me. He said, boy, when the rapture happens, he said, you can have the church.
And of course, you said, yeah, sure.
I said, yeah, I'll take it. But I tell you what, I'd have a full church, though.
That's exactly what he told you. He said, be full, then everybody's going to believe him.
I don't know if you have a lot in the tide box, but you have a lot of people there.
You have a lot of people, boy.
Whenever they're going to find out those crazy Christians were right, they're going to flood that church.
Cool. I wouldn't have enough room to put them.
You'd have to expand.
I didn't expand. I think I just put chairs outside and open up all the walls.
Of course. Well, we talking like that. It would be like the Azusa Street Revival. Remember they had so many people on the porch. The porch broke.
Yeah.
And they had to get that building.
Yeah.
Man.
But anyway, no, my week was rough. But hey, I made it. I thank God I made it. I had to work Saturday too, man.
I had a good week. I ain't complaining. I had a good week.
Yeah. You were sick.
Yeah, I'm always been sick, but worse.
Well, it could be worse. You know, we're talking about Bowen's face. You know,
but you never heard the boogie fever? My name's Boogie, so I always had the boogie fever.
Boogie. I've been sick since I was born.
All right, I believe it. We should vote for you. You're honest and true.
I'm honest and true. Let me be the next president.
Hey. One day, Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan was walking through a cemetery looking at graves to have good ideas for the gravesite when they passed on. And Ronald Reagan came up to a grave, and it had a sign on there that said, "Here lies an honest man and a politician." Ronald Reagan looked at Nancy Reagan and said, "Look, Nancy, two men buried in the same grave."
They're not honest.
He had her all confused.
Anyway, you ready to get started?
Yes.
Last time we was together, we talked about the Grecian Empire. All the Greece. We talked about Alexander the Great. First time around. Second time around, we went ahead and talked about the successors of Alexander the Great, the four generals that took over.
That was a mess.
Yeah, that was a mess. We're about to get into a bigger mess with the Roman Empire.
You think we had a mess? Wait.
But the recap, what we talked about, we in Daniel chapter 2. Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, and he didn't remember the dream, and he didn't know. He wanted to know the interpretation. His wise men told him, "Nope, we can't tell you unless you tell us the dream."
They become beef for the freezer.
Correct. Well, Nebuchadnezzar said, "Hey, if y'all don't know, we're gonna kill y'all." Well, Daniel intervened. Daniel prayed. He gave him one night. God gave him the dream. We talked already about they had a goal. You can go find that on YouTube and on our audio platforms. We talked about Medes and Persians, which was a lot of history. We crammed into 1 hour, but boy, we got it done. Now these two empires, man, we're taking a little longer than we thought because there was so much history in the Greeks empire. We had to do two of them. We talked about until Alexander the Great's death, then after Alexander the Great, and there was we're going to go ahead and talk on Daniel chapter 2, verse 40. And there be a fourth kingdom, strong as iron, because iron breaks to pieces and shatters all things. And like iron that crushes, it shall break and crush all these. So that was the Roman Empire. If you remember the last couple of weeks, we talked, like I said, we talked about Greece, so we're going to overlap a little bit. And Rome is kind of weird. They had a lot of legends. They had a lot of Greece influenced Rome in a way because Rome was always in Italy, which is right by Greece, or a little
not
ways,
far from it.
not far. And it was a Rome by far is one of the biggest empires, not the biggest, but and we also I also like bringing that out. A lot of people say, well, why did God only show 4 to 5 kingdoms on that statue? Didn't they have other empires? Yes, they did, but these 4 empires was pertaining to Israel. And that's why I tell a lot of people, we have a lot of people that talk about prophecies and everything, and they want to point to Daniel and point to the church, and I'm like, there's no way you can point to the church. The church wasn't thought of.
No.
Not in those days.
Not in those days. So Daniel is mainly, well, all of it is pertaining to Israel's prophecies. And these 4 kingdoms, or 5 kingdoms, if you want to count the 10 toes and the feet, were occupying Israel at that time.
That's right.
We're going to dive into a lot of Bible history at this time because during this time of history with Rome, you have the siege of Jerusalem, you have Jesus' birth, you have Masada, you have tons of history here. So we're going to try to go as much as possible, and possibly we're going to find out at the end of the night we're going to have a part 2 of the Roman Empire, but just a lot of studying going on. But the empire we're talking about tonight is Rome. We moved from Greece, and we're going to go ahead and talk about the start of Rome, where it started from. Rome was a little province, or just a city-state, and it was believed to be founded by
Romulus. Well, the two brothers, Romulus and Remus. But Romulus
and Remus.
Yes.
Now, we're going to quote some legends. And we was discussing at the beginning of this, of our studies, this is legend. It's not true. I believe there is a little bit of truth in it. I believe the two sons were real people. As this is coming from the History Channel's website, as legend has it, Rome was founded in 753 BC by Romulus and Remus. Now, this is where it gets into legend. They believe that these two men were the sons of Mars, the god of war. Well, it was their uncle didn't like them too much, which was the king of the nearby Albi Loga. They were put in a basket, according to legend, and was floated down the river banks to drown. They just thought the basket would deteriorate and kill the babies.
Right.
Well, like I said, this is all legend. And while they were going down the river, a she-wolf went ahead and found them. And the twins lived with the she-wolf until a shepherd found them with the she-wolf, and he took them in, and he went ahead and they raised him. Well, the twins lived to defeat the king and found their own city on the riverbanks in 753 BC, which, as we said, that's when the city of Rome started.
On Palatine Hill.
Yeah, Palatine Hill. And Romus, the way the story goes is they were building 2 cities. And as brothers, you know, they like pick boogie. We grew up together. How many times we picked with each other? We went ahead and
we didn't kill each other.
No, we didn't kill each other.
Came close.
I kicked you in the stomach one time.
Yeah. I threw you off the bed one time.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't by accident. Now I know.
Yeah, it was an accident.
Now I know.
I
Yeah.
think. No.
YouTube, you're all watching now. You see his face. If you listen on audio, go watch the YouTube channel. Anyway, but the Remus was picking at the walls and everything with Romus, and he said, man, your walls are this and this. Started picking on his brother, and his brother said, I ain't handling that. He killed his brother, and he became the first king of Rome, and named the city after himself, Rome.
Yeah.
Now, through that time, like I said, this is legend. Some when you talk about Rome, we're going to be talking about a lot of legends. They proclaim themselves gods and all that stuff.
Well, there's actually one too. That's the most famous. But I was watching a historical video, and they also claim that there's another Roman legend. They claim that the Romans were descendants of Troy or something like that, and they claimed or something like that one of their ancestors came from the Greeks or the Troys or something like that and started the city too. So there's a couple of other legends.
They had to have some influence. I know
that, but that's the most famous right there.
Right, that's the most famous. But they had to have some influence of Greece.
Yeah,
or be related to Grecian people, because first off, we know around that time, the 700 BC era. Yeah, that's when the Olympics was formed.
Yes,
the Greeks weren't in a superpower yet, and this city was even before the Babylonian Empire.
Yeah, but what happened was you got to remember. There was a bunch of other Italians in the Italy peninsula, and one of the famous was the Etruscans, they were called. They actually influenced Rome, matter of fact, and they were influenced by the Greeks, but they actually influenced Rome's writing. They influenced their culture in many ways. So yeah, the Etruscans, and there was other groups, in there too.
Got you. Now, on that point, he became the first king. But there were 7 legendary kings of Rome after him, which is kind of Romulus did something kind of weird. A lot of people didn't know. Remember we talked about the Grecian democracy, how it was for the people. The people were like, well, Rome kind of did something similar, but it wasn't called a democracy. It was called a republic. We have people that debate what is America, the democracy or a republic. I tell people we're a democracy republic. We put both of them together.
Yeah, you think
so we have a democracy voting system, but at the same time a republic,
where everybody's voice
Senate
is heard,
and Congress that make decisions. So Romulus went ahead and set up this Senate, and after him, all the kings were elected by the Senate.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
It was still a monarchy. It was still, and I say a republic. They didn't even consider that a republic. It was still ruled by the king, and the king was there until he died. So that is the founding of Rome. But we go into many years later. As I said, there were 7 kings before. Rome's era as a monarchy ended in 509 BC. With the overthrow of the 7th king, Lucas, I'm not even going to say his last name. It was
Lucas something.
Superbus. That's what it is, Superbus. Whom ancient historians portrayed as a cruel and tyrant. Compared to his benevolent predecessor, the population uprising was said to have arisen over the rape of a virtuous noblewoman. Lucas, by the king's son. Whatever the cause, Rome turned a monarchy into a republic, a world driven from republican or property of the people. So in 509, it became a true republic. They said, look, we're not going to go ahead and we're not going to have kings. We're going to elect them, and if the way that it would go, the powers of the monarchy passed to 2 annual elected magistrates called consuls. It was kind of like the president today. President only serves, he can serve up to 2 terms of 4 years. President Trump only served 4 years because he lost the election. Biden jumped in, and he's the president. And they would be called consuls. Right. Now, there's a lot of history involved with that because what they would do, I think the consulate would only be elected for 1 year.
I think so, and then later on he will become a governor of a province.
Correct, but and now he had to wait 10 years to become consulate again. So you had a 10. It'll be kind of weird, wouldn't you think that a president only having 1 year to serve,
that's something,
and then he couldn't run again for 10 years?
I know, huh?
So it.
Well, you gotta understand, America. We have a lot of Christian values, but America, in some ways, is we value ourselves or we model ourselves.
A lot after Rome and a lot after Greece.
A lot. Yep, we sure do.
So
Greeks and Rome.
They also serve as commanders in chiefs of the armies. The magistrates, though elected by the people, were drawn largely from the Senate, which means that a senator or someone in high leadership,
and they're supposed to represent the people, like ours does today.
Which was denominated by the patriarchs or the descendants of the original senators from the time of Romanus. So that was passed down from generation to generation. Politics in the early republic was marked by long struggles between patriarchs and pilberts, or common people, which evidently attained some political power through years of concessions from patriarchs, including their own political bodies, the tribunes, which could intentionally intent or veto legislation. So the people basically had the right to go ahead and put that in there. So Rome at that time in 450 BC, we're going through years now, and I'm going to give you right here, if you're looking at this for a history of the Roman Empire, we're giving you the straight basics, really. Right. There's so much history in Rome and with Bible history that we're going to cover tonight. Yeah. That we have to we're just getting down to the basic. We watched a documentary on the history of Rome, you and I. And Bowen, did you look at that documentary? The rise and the fall of the Roman Empire was 2 hours long, and this dude dove into everything. And then he even left some things out, I think. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things in Roman history because they overlap. Look, we're overlapping into the Babylonian Empire, into the Grecian Empire around 450, when the first Roman law code was inscribed on 12 tablets and known as the 12 tablets and publicly displayed in the Roman foyer. 450 BC. That was in the middle of the Medes and Persian Empire. Wow. So Rome got a long history. Just think about this, podcast audience and YouTube audience. We covered Babylon from 538 BC to 480 BC, and we covered 480 to 3... When did Alexander the Great die? 320? 332, I think. 332? I think. Yeah. So we covered that, and now we're covering the Rome. We just covered 4 episodes, and this is covering, and Rome is in the middle of everything, just as a small province. Wow. So there's a lot of history here. So these laws included legal procedures, civil rights, property rights, and provided the basis for all future Roman civil law. By around 300 BC, real political powers in Rome were centered in the Senate, which at the time included only members of patriarchs and wealthy Paulbrin families. So they did like the Constitution. Then, Boogie, you said it earlier. They were kind of like us. Yeah, in a way. They had 12 tables, 12 brass tables known as the 12 tablets. I find ours is better, but at the same time, we model ourselves in some ways. Well, we have a Constitution. They didn't. What they did, they took these plates and they put them in the Roman forum, and so you could see what was going on and what the rules were. So it wasn't. Yeah, I found our fathers had a lot of Greek and Roman influence when it came to government, and that was nothing wrong with that because the way the Romans did do their government and stuff, I think it was okay. Early on,
actually, that's where got a lot of our things.
Yeah, a lot of buildings, Supreme Court,
a lot of the things that Rome did.
Well,
that's where we got it from.
Rome didn't have a Congress and a Supreme Court. They had a Senate.
They had a Senate, but you got to think about it. We got the Senate from what they had, but we built the rest on our own.
Right. Yeah. Well, and then you can go ahead and put that into Greek culture because Greek
had the thing too. Huh?
Greek had more like a Congress type people. Like Congress, the way that our government is,
it's formed around right Greek
now.
And Rome.
Congress isn't like that now, but in the day, it was a common folk that ran Congress. Right. The Senate was the more wealthier people. Right. Now you have wealthies all over the place, and it's making everything bad for everyone. But Greek would do that. It would pick one person from each city, state, and they would make a decision. They didn't have a Senate. It was more like a Congress type person, Congress setting. As for Rome, it was the wealthy and all that. So what they did was they took a Grecian common man. They made like the Congress, and then the Senate came after Rome. So you have both.
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah,
so the Senate was more like the rich type.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or the rich owned them, something like that.
No, it wasn't. When that's how it's supposed to work now. The Senate is supposed to be the more rich people. That's why they only have 2 from each state. They can be represented.
Right.
But Congress is supposed to be separated into, like us in Louisiana. We got 8. We have 8 congressional seats.
Right.
And the congressional seats are elected by the people. Ours is in the 3rd district is Clay Higgins. Clay Higgins was a common fella. He was just a cop around here, and they used to call him the Cajun John Wayne because he would make videos, and he was like a normal person. So people liked him, and they put him into Congress. He beat a lot of wealthy politicians, but there's a lot like Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi's been there for I don't know how many years, and she's rich. And she ain't supposed to be rich, but she's supposed to be part of the common folk.
She's been in there since Star Galactica.
When George Washington first the army.
No, she was in there before George Washington.
She's prehistoric.
Yeah,
She was in there since Planet of the Apes.
Oh. Anyway, so around 300 BC, the Republic really started growing, and it started, it was political. Now, during that time, the military expansion was phenomenal. The early Republic, the Roman state grew in both size and power.
They start conquering their neighbors, like the Etruscans and all the other.
Well, Gauls sacked. Well, that's studying this, I didn't realize that as well.
Yeah, Rome was sacked at the time.
Rome was sacked during 390 BC.
The
Gauls.
The Gauls, yeah.
The Gauls.
The Celtics. The Celtics, I think, or something like that.
Well, Rome went ahead and rebuilt it and rebonded under the leadership of Hero Calacamus.
Yeah, something like that.
So, and they grew they gained control of the entire Italian peninsula by 264 BC. Rome, and that's why there was those legs of iron. It was just they even if they fell, they came back and they just
somehow God fulfilled private.
So this is as all the years went around, Rome started growing, and Rome went ahead and fought a series of wars called the Punic Wars, which was with Carthage. Remember, we talked about Carthage. Yeah. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. The fall of the Grecian Empire.
Yeah.
Carthage was really the step into Roman power. Now, we had leaders in that time. They were selected. There was a lot of leaders in the Roman government, but these wars brought a lot of.
They paved the way for Rome to come with the world scene. They were they conquered the peninsula, the Italian peninsula. Now they were ready to conquer the big empires, and Carthage. See, people got to realize what was the war between Carthage and Rome was all about. Well, the thing was, both wanted to control Carthage at the time, control the Mediterranean Sea. But they both wanted the Mediterranean Sea. And the reason why both fought over it, because it was for trade purposes. You can call it a trade war. We call it the Carthage War, but it really should be called a trade war. So it was which one wanted to control and that happened a few times in history. There was a couple of wars where kingdoms or nations fought for trade routes. It could be on the sea or land. Whoever controlled the trade routes, they made money, So it's like someone going to take over like some people fight for the I-10, for example. I-10 is where a lot of, commodities, travel to. So that's what they were both fighting over domination of Mediterranean.
They say right here, it started in 264 BC and ended around 149 to 146 BC. The reason it took so long is because that was 3 wars in one. They just talk about they fought Carthage 3 times, which Carthage beat Rome 1 time. Yeah. But Rome came back and said, "Well, we're gonna." Well, Rome always came back and destroyed them after.
The first war was with Hannibal Barca. That was Hannibal's daddy. They were fighting over the island of Sicily. And whoever controlled Sicily, that island that was not far from Italy, they controlled the trading route. So that's why they were both fighting over that one piece of island. That at the time, it was a great asset at the time. So, and then before that, the Greeks and them were fighting for control of the island. And then now Rome and them was fighting control of it. So what happened was Hannibal Barca lost. They had a sea battle and they lost. He actually lost. He lost the island. And he lost the other islands. And then what happened was he told his son Hannibal to avenge him for his war against the Romans. And he swore revenge on the Romans. And so that's where the story begins. Hannibal rose up, he became a great general. And what happened was the reason why he had to go another direction, because their sea power was destroyed. The Romans totally destroyed their sea power. So he had to go through Spain and France, and he went to the Alps with his elephants and everything. He lost a lot of soldiers and stuff like that.
Yeah, going to that war.
And he had to. Matter of fact, he had to actually join. He had to get more allies.
Man, he fought some more.
Yeah, but what happened was when he came to Rome, he came over the Alps. He caught the Romans totally by surprise, because the Romans were like, they thought the Alps was nobody could cross the Alps. The Romans thought that was their barrier. They thought that it was invincible. Nobody can cross the Alps. But it caught the Romans totally off a surprise. And then they duked it out the side of Rome, or they fought. And Rome actually lost twice in that one battle. Rome lost 3 small battles, or we call them small, but 3 major wars, they lost them. Hannibal beat them every time and stuff like that. And then the Romans got really, really desperate. And they were like, oh, man, we got to get... this guy's... he was breaking all their military odds. They had one part, they had to actually raise up more soldiers, and they were getting down to the barrel. Rome was getting to the point in this stage, it was almost close to being destroyed, pretty much. But God, and I think God allowed demonic forces to, because of Bible prophecy, because he's true to his word, God kept the Romans on guard. He kept the Romans going. So what happened was a general named Scipio, that's his name, Scipio, he was a general. He's a Roman general, and he after his father and his brother died, he took over, and he went. Matter of fact, what he done was he said, "Okay, Hannibal brought the war to us. Now we're gonna turn it back on him. We're gonna bring the war to his backyard." So that's what he done. He took a bunch of soldiers on the ship, and they went back to Carthage. And then Carthage, the leaders in Carthage was like, hey, Hannibal, we need you back here, because the Romans are attacking our backyard now. So he had to go and take all his soldiers and reverse and go back to Africa. And finally, I think 2 or 3 battles, or 2 battles, Rome finally beat him.
Rome destroyed it. Rome just did.
That was the 3rd war. They totally destroyed it.
They destroyed it. They didn't leave nothing. But at the same time, remember we talked about Greece last week. Philip V teamed up with Carthage.
Yes.
And in Macedonia. And in the Macedonian War, he turned his kingdom into another Roman province. The Romans beat him. Romans said, "Look, we're not going to worry about y'all."
Right after they beat when they defeated Carthage, the 2nd war, then they went to Greece, and they finally beat all of Greece, and then they went to Carthage, and they burned Carthage down.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and at first, remember, they beat Macedonia, because we talked about it in the... we talked about it in the Greeks.
Conquered. The Greeks were fighting among themselves. Some Greeks were fighting against the one who joined with Hannibal. So that's how the Romans did it.
So Rome went ahead and they took over Greece, and they went ahead and took over. They translate the first Roman literature appeared around 240 BC, which translated into Greek classic into Latin. So Rome, as we talked about, Rome adapted a lot of the Greek art and philosophy and religions. So they went ahead, and that's when they became like a superpower. That's when because they weren't even considered an empire yet either until Augustus. A lot of people don't know that. They took over Greece, and they had the Roman Empire. You could say it was a Roman, but it was a Roman Republic that took over all that landmass.
They had this little land, like they had half of Spain. Only the lands at that time when they beat Carthage in Greece, they only had the lands by the Mediterranean Sea. They had half of Spain. They had a little bit of France, not much. All this the land that was by the Mediterranean Sea, pretty much, up to that time.
Right.
And it was just little strips, really, until later on,
So as we go along, the Republic, they took over all this landmass. They took over Greece. But Rome's complex political institution began to crumble under the weight of a growing empire. Which would mean that during that time they started, they were taking all this land and everything, but the Senate really the politics at that time started to crumble. And Junius Maurus, a commander whose military powers elevated him to position of consulate, and he was there for 6 times for the first of his 6th term. He was there for 7 terms. Was the first of a series of warlords who would dominate Rome during the late Republic. By 91 BC, Marcus was struggling against attacks by his opponents, including his fellow generals. General Sulla, who emerged as military dictator around 82 BC. Now, that's a pretty interesting time in history because dictator was a lot different than now.
Oh, yes.
In the Roman government, a dictator would be dictator, but within a year, you had to resign.
Right.
Or if there was in a war, it's like martial law. A lot of people don't.
Yeah,
that's what kind of similar to our martial law.
Yeah.
That martial law would go ahead and go affect the president's president until the war is over, or whatever the case would be. But after Sulla retired, one of his former supporters, Pompey, briefly served as a consul before waging successful military campaigns against pirates in the Mediterranean Sea and the forces of the magistrate in Asia. During that same time period, Marcus Tullius Carcaro, elected consul in 63 BC, famously defeated the conspiracy of the Patriarch Catiline and won the representative of one of the Romans' greatest archers. Now, let's go into talk about this, though, because we mentioned Pompey in 63 BC. Let's go dive into history of the Bible. Because a lot of people might be wondering why we're not talking a lot about the Bible. This was happening through the silent years. There was 400 years that the Bible is in a gap with.
Yeah, right.
This is what we're talking about. But this Pompey went ahead and conquered Jerusalem.
He conquered Syria and
He
Palestine.
conquered Syria. He conquered. He made the Palestinian region, you can say.
Yeah, Israel, Palestine.
So, wasn't this also? I think this was also the time of Herod, right? Herod became king, or he was in the mix.
No, he was a governor at the time.
He was a governor.
I think he
Okay.
was governor if he was around.
Somewhere around there, but
he became king later.
because we go to
He was king.
Jewish history.
Yeah, he was king during the time when Cleopatra and Mark Antony.
He conquered Jerusalem in 64 BC, and shortly after that, Julius Caesar came in and occupied Alexandria. So that was when Israel and them started playing a role into that. Rome finally became, because remember at the time it was
Egypt did not really come a Roman province until not Julius Caesar, but Caesar Augustus.
So now we're gonna go ahead and talk about one of the most famous Romans, if not the famous Roman of the whole world. If you hear his name, Bowen, let's see if you know it. Who was the most famous Roman in the world?
Huh?
Who was the most famous Roman in the world?
Oh, I don't know.
Julius Caesar. Man.
Julius Caesar, yep.
Anyway, Bowen, you all right over there, man?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm
He's
just...
just well, we got to talk about three men, really.
Yeah,
there was Julius Caesar, and there was
Marcus
Crassus.
Crassus.
He was
Marcus
a wealthy
Crassus,
politician.
And then you had Pompey.
And they three made the triumph.
That was the first triumph because they had because Mark Antony and Octavia and one other guy made the second.
Yeah,
which we're going to talk about probably later on.
Yeah, later on
if we have time.
Yeah, let's see how it goes.
So Pompey returned to Rome after his victories, and he formed an uneasy alliance known as the First Tribune, what we was talking about, with the wealthy Marcus Crassus, who suppressed a slave rebellion led by the Spartans in 71 BC.
No, by Spartacus.
Spartacus, right? I thought it was a Spartan.
No, Spartacus.
And another star, Julius Caesar. He earned some military glory in Spain. Caesar returned to Rome, vowed for the consulship in 59 BC from his alliance with Pompey and Crispin. Crispin received the governorships of three wealthy provinces in Gaul beginning in 58 BC. He then set about to conquer the rest of the region for Rome. So they were moving a lot. And Pompey's wife, Julius Caesar's daughter, died in 54 BC, and Crispin was killed in battle against Parthia, which is Parthia, which is present-day Iran.
What happened was he was going over there because they say he was jealous of Caesar, because at the time Caesar conquered Gaul. At the time, because they believe Caesar wanted to be he needed some money for his campaign debts. So and for glory, for power and glory. So he conquered Gaul, modern day France, and then Crassus was jealous because of Pompey and Caesar's success. So he went over there for glory and for money, but also for if he got gold, he could be more powerful in Rome. He was rich
And then
already.
you gotta look at the politics of the day too.
Yeah, so that's why he went over there.
Rome's politics that we were talking was like no other. You had to get positions. You had to meet with wealthy people, or you had to butter up, or you had to be a great general.
Or you were wealthy to get.
Oh yeah, he
somewhere.
was wealthy, and like the consulate was one of the most admired positions, because that was kind of like the president. He was that was the leader of the whole Roman Empire at the time of the Roman Republic, and that look, all these men, Crescent, Pompey, and Caesar, Julius Caesar, all wanted that position.
Right.
At this time, Pompey had it, and Caesar's daughter married Pompey, Julia.
That's right. To keep the triumph going.
Right, to keep the triumph going. But she died in 54 BC. So Caesar was like, well, I don't need him no more. My daughter ain't in the lineage no more.
And then Crassus ended up dying
Crassus, as we
over
said.
there. He died in modern day Iran or Iraq. Yeah, he died. Yeah.
So Pompey stepped in as sole consul in 53 BC. But Caesar's military glory in Gaul and his increasing wealth had eclipsed Pompey. So he was over Pompey, which is pretty neat too.
Yeah.
I think it was Pompey or one of the earlier leaders of the Roman Republic, one of the consuls, made it to where a general had to fund his soldiers with land and property and everything.
The veterans. Yeah.
Well, a lot of the military liked Caesar Julius Caesar, because he
promised them land.
Yeah, he promised them land. He promised them everything. So they were more faithful to the generals than they were to the
Roman system.
empire.
Yeah, and it caused a lot of trouble.
It did cause a lot of trouble in their empire later on.
They say Crassus, when he died, legend has it, because they said he was greedy for gold. They said the Parthians, they actually took gold and they put it in his mouth. And they said he died, so said through that. So I don't know. It could have been true, or it could have been a legend. I don't know.
Right.
But greed got to him one way or another, destroyed him. Yeah.
Also, so in 49 BC, Caesar and one of his legion crossed the Rubicon.
The Rubicon River.
Rubicon. I cannot say these words, man.
Some of them I can, some of them I can't. Yeah.
Chaffalai Basin, man. A river on the border between Italy from Caspian Gaul. Caesar invaded Italy, igniting a civil war from which he emerged as dictator of Rome for life in 45 BC, which fits, if you go into Jewish history, this is when he occupied Alexander in 47 BC, and isn't this the time when he met Cleopatra as well?
Yes, what happened was Pompey fled, and the congressmen fled.
Yeah, he fled to Egypt, right?
No. They went to Greece first.
Okay.
They fought in Greece, and then he lost in the battle. Pompey lost at the battle of in Greece against Caesar. So then he moved to Egypt. He was trying there to get allies because he took there. And they always promised him if he needed forces, the Middle East countries say, we will back you up.
Oh, okay.
So then he went to Egypt there to get support. But according to what happened, he ended up getting his head cut off in Egypt. They did not support him.
Well, and that's where Julius Caesar met Cleopatra.
Yeah,
Cleopatra is that legend, or is that fact that he had a child with Cleopatra? Cleopatra had a son
he had a son for Julius Caesar. Yes.
So,
but their son ended up dying later on. They ended up assassinating him in Egypt.
Okay. Well, at that time was going around when under Julius Caesar, when he defeated Pompey in 45 BC. Under Julius Caesar, the Judaism was the official recognized as the legal religion of that province. So, and of course, later on, Augustus took over, and he kept the tradition to say that the Jewish people, that was the rightful religious area. So at that time, Christ ain't even born yet. Let's just say it like this: Christ is still a far way off, a few years down the road. So he emerged as dictator for life, which the Senate did not like that, because on the Ides of March, he was stabbed by the Senate because he made himself dictator over all the provinces. He was dictator for life, which the Senate looked at it as it was no cause, because you would only make that decree of yourself if you were in battle. He just came back and said, look, I'm dictator for life. I want to rule for all my life, and I'm going to pass it on. The Senate didn't like that. Even one of his close friends killed him. They went ahead and I think they stabbed him like 5 times, 6 times.
5 times.
Tradition says that he was shameful, so he put while they were stabbing, he covered himself.
Yeah, that's what they say.
They
Yeah.
say that there's some movies and some shows that show him trying to fight him off, and
Yeah.
a lot. I've learned something about studying Rome. A lot of the movies that you watch, it ain't historically accurate. Sorry, all you Gladiator fans out there.
They based that when he put his face over his thing. That was Shakespeare.
That was Shakespeare?
That was
Okay.
Shakespeare, they say. So we don't even know if that's actually accurate.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so
But that led a whole nother civil war after Julius Caesar died. Remember, and the thing of it is, he was loved by the people.
oh yes, yes.
A lot of people don't realize they read this history, they see how he was he wanted to be a dictator, and
he was
that
loved by the
wasn't
people.
right, but he was real loved by the people, and that's what started this revolt, and that's when Mark Antony and Octavius was the great nephew and
Julius
adopted
Caesar.
heir of Julius Caesar. Go ahead.
Talking about a dictator. Who was the dictator?
Well, Julius Caesar named himself a dictator for life. Roman culture did this, okay?
I thought from what I had read, I thought they had made him the dictator.
No, the Senate didn't like him.
the people did, but the Senate
Imagine
didn't like
Donald
it.
Trump.
Because he
Imagine
became
Donald Trump and the
dictator. He
Democrats
became
right
the
now.
dictator to run the military, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he was
became
planning to
general.
expand the empire. Julius Caesar believed that Rome was supposed to be set up and never to fall. So what he was doing is he was only a consulate for 1 year, and he made himself dictator so he could conquer the whole region.
Right.
But he was loved by the people because he was giving all the military everything they wanted.
That's what I'm saying.
So the Senate didn't like it because, hey, he's ruling entire power, because the Senate didn't have no power when they had a dictator.
Well, you gotta understand one thing. Like, they will call them money changers, but we call them modern day bankers. And history always proved that the rich or the money changers, the one who ruled the money system, they were taking people's land. Like, if they couldn't pay, kind of like what's going on today. If you don't pay your taxes to the IRS, they
Right.
come and take your land.
They take your money or they take your bank
well, that
account
was
or
almost
whatever.
similar what's going on then. And they didn't like him for that. He was controlling their money supply, and
Right.
he kind of like what happened with Trump, probably.
Oh, okay.
So so the people loved him, but the banks and the big politician guys, the big
They
money
didn't-
people
they
didn't
didn't
like
like
him.
him.
Yeah.
Right. So they went ahead and started a whole civil war. Mark Antony and Octavia went ahead and ended the revolt, which led to the second tribune, because it was Mark Antony, it was Octavia, and it was one other.
I can't even say his name.
I'm trying to Laplace.
Laplace,
Lipadas. We're
Yeah.
gonna say it like that. They started the second tributes. Well, what happened was, I think it was Octavius. He took over La Paz because they separated like the three.
three
sections.
areas. I think Pompey.
Octavius was only 19 years old when he.
Yeah, he
when
was young.
They thought he was the weakest one. They said, "Oh, we can get rid of this dude real easy," and
he wasn't.
Octavius was the one that came out on top.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Pompey had the Middle East for sure. He had, he had the Middle East because Egypt was not part of the Roman Empire yet at this time. So he had Palestine.
Well, no, Mark Antony took over that.
Yeah,
that
Mark
province.
Anthony did. Yeah, and Caesar Augustus,
Octavia,
he took over England wasn't at that time. It was like
The modern
Spain
day
and
England,
France. He had that part, and I think the other guy had Greece. Some of
Well,
those other parts.
Octavius and Mark
Yeah.
Anthony, I think, teamed up. They beat him.
Yeah, they took him out the way.
Well, and this is where the famous story of Cleopatra comes into play with Mark Anthony. They made movies and all that good stuff about
And we
it.
got to remember, she was Alexander the Great's.
No, not Alexander, Julius Caesar.
No, I'm talking about Cleopatra.
No, that's not the same
That's
one.
not the same
Which
one.
we've got to
Yeah.
correct
But-
that. Last time we said Cleopatra.
But she was part of the Grecian dynasty.
I think she
She was
probably was
part-
related to the
Yeah.
Cleopatra of Alexander the Great,
Yeah.
which I started looking at, and we made that. Well, Cleopatra was Alexander the Great's sister.
No.
And I started looking at the date. This was around 31 BC. Alexander the Great died in
Yeah.
320 something BC. I'm
But-
like, well, it
but
don't match.
One
It's
thing
over
we
100
do know
years
for
later.
sure, she was in the
Unless she was a real old lady and good looking for her age.
No. But we do know for sure she was part of the Greek dynasty. She
Right.
was Grecian.
Right.
She was not Egyptian. She took Egyptian cultures, but she was not Egyptian. She was it was the Ptolemy dynasty. That was one of Alexander the Great's generals
Right, the
that took over
successors.
Egypt. And they kept the name. So she was part of the dynasty there.
Right. So Cleopatra and Mark Antony, they were. I think something happened. They had a civil war between him and Octavia.
Yes.
And Octavia came and he destroyed Mark
fought.
Antony.
Yeah, he did. At the end of the battles,
well, Mark Antony and Cleopatra didn't want to be slaves to him or be captured, so they committed suicide, and they died after the defeat. So by 29 BC, Octavia was the sole leader of Rome and all its provinces. To avoid meeting Caesar's face, he made sure that he to make his position as absolute ruler acceptable by the public, by apparently restoring the political institute. What he said was, in a short term, "Hey, I'm gonna make it back a Roman Republic. The Senate's gonna make all the decision." But in reality, he didn't do that. He made it to where he retained all the real power for himself. In 27 BC, Octavius assumed the title of Augustus, that he changed his name, and that became the first ruler under Rome. So
he was the first Roman emperor.
Yeah, he was the first Roman Empire. Lloyd, how much time we have left, my brother? 12 minutes? Okay, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the Bible while we're talking about that, because Augustus at this time, when he became king, he ruled for 56 years. He was one of the longest
the Roman
emperors of Rome.
He was known as one of the good emperors.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. I think he expanded Rome as well. A lot of these great emperors would expand Rome. Let's go ahead and stay right here for the last couple of minutes we have, because this plays a big role into biblical prophecy, biblical history, because we talked about the legs of iron. We didn't even get to the splitting of the legs yet, which means Eastern and Western empires. Augustus was the emperor when Christ was born.
Yes, that's what they believe, yeah.
Also, I believe Augustus appointed Herod as king.
Herod the Great.
Herod the Great, yeah. Which, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Herod the Great, because Herod the Great was elected by Augustus to be the king of the Jews. He built the temple, which took 50-some years to build.
He added to the temple.
Yeah. He also went ahead and started Masada.
I don't want to get too far ahead, though.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I don't want to get. No, I'm going ahead.
You're going.
I'm going too far ahead. I don't want to get into.
Well, no, we get into the time of Christ. This is the time of Christ right now.
No, I was going to bring up something. I had asked Boogie about that earlier, but I don't want to get that far ahead.
Okay. Well, so this time it really started. They started coming back into the Gospels. Because Herod is mentioned in Matthew of the slaughter of the innocent, as they call it on the internet. But we know it as the time of Rachel's weeping.
So you're talking about Jerusalem?
Yeah, well, Jerusalem came into he was part of the.
Is that the same Herod where Rome invaded Jerusalem, or that's not the one?
I don't think Herod was the king.
No. He was governor pretty much at the time when Pompey and them took over.
What you talking about? You talking about the siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD?
I'm talking about the siege of Jerusalem. Was Herod still there at that
time?
No.
That probably. I think that was one of his sons, because Herod the Great died in 4 BC.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So it had to be a son of his.
Yeah, it had to be a son or a grandson. Which that makes a big. That a lot of people might say.
Jumping ahead.
A lot
of people say it's controversial. We was talking about that. Augustus started his reign in 27 BC, and his reign ended when he died at 14 AD. So I heard today, and it was pretty shocking. A lot of people look at the BC and the AD. They think that's right on the dotted line when Christ was born. AD started. AD started probably about 6 years after Christ was born. There are some people that believe, because I was reading earlier about Herod and the killing of the babies and all that, that some people said that didn't even really happen, because there's only one mark, and that was in Matthew. Matthew wrote it down. It happened. I believe the Bible said.
The Jewish people.
But I did learn this though, because he died. Herod the Great died in 4 BC.
Right.
Matter of fact, they actually found his tomb.
Yeah. Jesus was 2 years old when that incident happened, so Jesus probably was born between 6 and 4 BC.
Right.
So some of the timelines are, or I guess you could say, off if you want to go ahead into 4 BC, but Augustus was the emperor when Christ was born. He was also the emperor probably when Christ was 10 to 12 years old.
Oh, wow.
So it's possible that I think it's the account in Luke when they find Jesus in the temple.
Yes. Augustus
That was
still
probably
alive?
Caesar Augustus. Now Caesar Augustus, like I said, he was supported by his army, a growing cult of devotioners to the emperor. They were devoted to the emperors.
They even made him a god, did they?
Yeah, they made him God when he died. They put him as a statue of God. Augustus' dynasty included the unpopular Tiberius, which at the time of Christ's death, he was the ruler. Tiberius was the one that put Pontius Pilate into Judea.
Pontius Pilate,
Pontius Pilate, governor of the Judean region. So you in that part where we go to the Bible, that's when Matthew plays out, Luke plays out, John plays out, Mark plays out. That's the time when Christ was there. Now, at that time, if I'm not mistaken, there was no wars going on in Rome. They had little conflicts.
Yeah, they had conflicts,
but
here
they
and
didn't
there.
have a major war like later
no,
on when they fought the
no.
Persians and they were fighting the Greeks. They were fighting the
They had little
once
rebellions.
Christ came on the scene, there was no wars.
There was no wars until Christ.
Until Christ was crucified and died.
Yeah. They had little
And ascended
conflicts.
back up.
They had little conflicts here and there, but I don't think it was
There was no
big and
major war.
No major wars at all. Now, real interesting point too. Wasn't it? I think it was Tiberius that got the letter from Pontius Pilate.
That's what tradition says. Yeah.
What tradition says after Christ died, they wrote. Pontius Pilate wrote a letter to Tiberius and told him about Jesus and everything. Tiberius was fascinated with the story, so they made Jesus a Roman god.
Oh wow!
I didn't know that.
Yeah, brother Swagger. I believe it's brother Swagger that brought that out on his expositor's Bible.
I never heard.
So
of
a lot of people.
That's new to me.
Well, see, that's what people say. Well, Rome, and look, the Roman people were very, very
religious.
No, that's not religious, but it was they marked down everything.
Yeah, they were very detailed.
Oh yeah, they kept track of everything.
A lot of detail.
They had everything marked down.
When Pilate saw that, he sent a letter to Tiberius, and Tiberius was the second emperor, which goes into his Caligula. His son was after him,
it wasn't his son. It was they believe it was Julius Caesar or Augustus' cousin, or
they were all cousins, nephews, and stuff like that.
They call him the Mad Emperor.
Yeah, this man was sick. This man was sick, Caligula, because Caligula only served for 3 years. He was assassinated after Tiberius. Now you got to remember, Christ was gone, and the apostles started preaching the gospel.
Yeah,
that's
it was
when
at the time of the church. Yeah,
I don't have my sponsors.
Paul came into the picture too at that time.
Right.
Yeah, the Book of Acts was there, and the missionary work was going. Christianity.
Paul, as a matter of fact, at that time, the original apostles were preaching in Jerusalem, but Paul was the first one to go to Rome.
Yeah.
That went to Rome and preached to the Gentiles at that time. Now, I don't know who was there at that time.
Well, it was Nero. They believe at the time.
Yeah,
they believe it was Nero.
Nero. So, you got to look at it. Man, this all came into play in the biblical times.
Yeah, this is where we're going to start diving into the Bible. Let's go ahead and stop there tonight, guys, because we're probably going to have more than one part to do, more than two, maybe two. We don't know, because this is a good subject, and I like how we haven't even got, like I said, to the separating of the legs, and we just look like I thought we was talking for 5 minutes. We already done almost a whole hour right here.
Really? Wow.
So, but we're gonna stop right there. We're gonna stop on Tiberius and Caligula because we're gonna talk more about them and their play, and then we're gonna start talking about how the Roman life infected the Jewish people.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't realize that the Rome at that time wasn't they were cruel and everything. Mm-hmm. But they owned Jerusalem with an iron fist. Let's let them look at that for a second, because I watched the Chosen series, and I like how they put into a lot of content. The Romans were hated by the Jewish people.
Oh yeah,
Pompey came and took over,
Yeah.
and there's some historical evidence that Pompey took some artifacts from Jerusalem, from the temple. He defiled the temple, they say. And it was just, they hated because at that time of Tiberius and Augustus, the taxes were outrageous. That's why a lot of people, when you read the story of Matthew, that he left his tax booth, people hated Matthew because Matthew chose to go work for the Romans. So Rome they were real worried about uprisings. They were really trying to work with the Sanhedrin and the Pharisees to try to
keep
keep
everything
things
in order.
under control, and the Jewish
But I
people.
don't think they're the ones that had Christ. Well, the Romans is the one that crucified him.
But it was the religious
But it was
ones
the
that pushed
religious
it.
that pushed
They
it.
indicted
pushed
him.
Yeah, they indicted him. It was,
So-
they pushed him. Yeah.
False religion had him more crucified than
right,
anything else.
right,
They were just the
right.
tools they used.
So we talked about the rise of the Roman Empire tonight. We're gonna go ahead and stop right there. The start of Caligula. We're gonna talk about because, like
The
I said,
Mad
this,
Emperor.
the mad emperor. Like I said, this dude was sick, and we're gonna probably talk a little bit about
he had
him.
some,
Okay.
he had some problems.
So, but man, and look, like I said, guys, there's so much. And look, we knew this going into this that there would be a lot of history. I just didn't know there was this much history.
Oh,
Because we
man.
still haven't talked about Titus' destruction of Jerusalem.
Yes,
we haven't
we didn't
talked
talk about
about Masada. We haven't talked about a lot of stuff. So,
Yeah. I'm gonna have to do some more looking at some videos tonight.
well, and it's history, and that now we're starting to play into the Bible because I had
now
somebody say,
finally, yeah.
I had somebody ask, well, isn't this all in the Bible?
No.
No, it's
There's-
prophesied, but it's not in.
prophesied.
It's
not
history.
in there. It's history. It's things that happen between the Old Testament and New Testament.
And then
at
you got to
that
realize
time.
too, because Alexander the Great had expanded so much, but after Esther and Nehemiah, you really don't have no.
But-
that was close. That was getting close to
I
the
look
end.
at what Rome accomplished in the time that they were there. What they accomplished. All they accomplished was along the Mediterranean Sea.
And you know what? That's
And,
what. That's
and
what
I
made
look
him-
at what Alexander the Great did in his 10 years. They accomplished a lot more than what Rome did.
yeah,
Well, some people say Rome conquered more, so I don't
That's
know.
what some people
because
say. but
Rome
I-
did take over a little bit of the Persian lands.
Right.
But they didn't go as
They
far as
didn't
to
go
India.
into India.
Now they
No,
went into
They didn't-
Africa
They
though.
didn't. Well, yeah, they
They
went
did
into
go into Africa.
They went into South Africa or Northern Africa.
Northern Africa.
They took
Northern
all the way
Africa.
to Spain, but the biggest part of Africa they took really was Egypt.
Egypt, yeah, they conquered Egypt.
because in that it was just like a little strip. When you go
But,
play, look at the African
you got to
map,
look
it
at
was
what
just a little
Alexander conquered. Alexander conquered all the Mediterranean, along the border of the Mediterranean Sea.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he conquered Egypt, and then he went on and he conquered Pakistan, and he conquered a lot of the inland parts. He was
But
going
that's-
into India
but
by the
that's-
time he stopped.
But that's what
Yeah.
made Rome so popular too, because they had the Mediterranean Sea,
Yeah,
because that was a big trade line.
Yeah, that was a trade line. That's why they took over that, because there was a lot of, there was a lot of trading probably going on right there.
it was a trading area, big money.
You see, Alexander the Great wasn't worried about trading, buddy. He was worried
He just
about
wanted
conquering.
land. He just
He
wanted
wanted to
land.
conquer. That's what he was worried
And like
about.
I said, look, you could say that, and that'd be our last point. Julius Caesar probably had the same thought process as Alexander the
He
Great.
probably did. That's why they
Because
killed him.
Well, they did that because going back to Julius Caesar, they did that because they was afraid they would lose their power.
Yes.
You got to realize nobody's threatened Alexander the Great because he was the sole emperor. He was the one that ran everything.
Yeah, he ran everything.
But the Senate,
Right,
in
it's a whole
tradition,
different thing.
was running the country, and the consulate or the leader had to follow their direction.
Right.
Julius Caesar flipped it. He took their power and put it on him. So they said we can't have that. So that's why they
Yeah,
assassinated him.
we need to stop there.
Oh yeah, we're gonna stop right
We need
there.
to
So
stop.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of information, and like I said, it looks like we just started. But I love the Roman Empire. The study of the Roman Empire
Very
is
interesting.
very interesting. So
bloody and interesting.
Like I told you guys earlier, I'm not good with history. I was never good with history, but when I can fill in, I'll fill in.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all right, that's all
Hey,
right.
that's
So-
good.
well, guys, until next week. This
Yes.
was fun. We're gonna start our second part to Romans of the
hope we ain't gotta-
sixth part. Of,
I hope we ain't got to go a third part.
We'll see how it
Well, I
goes.
mean,
'Cause that's a
Well,
lot.
Well-
this is the fourth kingdom of
Yeah,
the first part of Romans.
right,
Let's just
right.
say of Rome, because
So-
Rome plays a big part too. Because remember, some of the, we're gonna get to that later on. Paul wrote to
Rome-
Christians in
yeah,
Rome.
In Rome, that's right.
So we
that's
gotta look at
right.
the dates
Yeah.
of that. I think that was around
Yeah.
the 65. I've got to look at the dates
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
Paul wrote Romans, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're gonna get into. We got a lot because we
got
just
a
don't
lot.
have Roman history. We have biblical history. to
Biblical
look at,
history
too.
of
So-
the
biblical
yeah,
history
we
with
got
it
a lot
now.
of biblical history on that.
Just a reminder to all our audience on YouTube, go ahead and hit the bell. Go ahead to the subscribe button. That'll let you know when we drop all new episodes. Also, on our audio platform, please hit the follow or subscribe button. We are on Apple, Google, Spotify, and many other platforms. You can find us at anchor.fm. Just type in BJS Ministries at anchor.fm. Or you can go ahead and look at our website, brothersjustsearching.wordpress.com. You can even send us an email if you have any questions, brothersjustsearchingpodcast@gmail.com. And you can find us on Facebook as well. You can message us on there at Brothers Just Searching. So, and we also want to thank both ministries that help our church, our ministry out here, financially and with prayers, New Beginnings Fellowship Church and Coteau Holmes Fellowship Church, and also my dad's company, Hayes' Dump Truck Service, because without them, it wouldn't be possible. Bowen, you didn't hear it last time we was together. I want to go ahead and thank you publicly on air for everything you do here. You help us with the internet, and you help us with the ministry.
The thing is, it's a ministry, and,
right?
And I feel that we're doing it for the Lord. You know, we're not doing it for us. This is for Jesus. We carrying the gospel. We talking about the gospel. We talking about history, and God's just gonna bless it.
Amen.
You know, God's gonna bless it. The blessing's gonna come back to me. I know that, but I'm not doing it for the blessings from God. But let me tell you something. God's been taking care of me.
Yep.
You know, God's been showing me. God's been working in my life, and you know, as long as He does that, I'm fine. I don't mind investing into something that's gonna go, you know, down the line. And like I told you earlier, and I'm gonna tell you that again, and I'm gonna say that this ministry here is gonna grow. It's gonna grow. I'm telling you. I feel that in my spirit. I feel it in my heart. I can just see it. I see it. I see it. It's going to grow. And I mentioned it to my brother about us being on YouTube. And he said, they pay y'all for being on YouTube. I said, yeah, but you got to get a big audience. He said, not necessarily. He said,
there's ways. This is
really?
the thing. Look, we put on YouTube, first off, is to get more audience.
Yeah, we want a bigger audience.
We want a bigger audience to share the gospel. That's
right.
We get blessed financially with it
we
as well.
We do.
It'll be awesome. And look, we have other people, and I've said it on here. You know who you are. I don't want to say it over there, there, unless they tell me I can. But I want to thank the people that have given to us $20 here, $20 there. And we don't keep none of this money. As you can tell, we get
back into the ministry.
Look, we just bought brand new cameras, and that's a blessing.
Yeah,
we had a brother in the Lord that helped us out with that. So, God has blessed us for a small ministry. Our new principal at our school told me the other day he never saw us or heard our podcast. He saw the YouTube channel on Facebook. He said, "Let me check this out." And he told me, he said, "Man, y'all got a good program.
Then we want people. I'm sorry, but we want people to realize, them to go listen too.
Right.
Like you watch YouTube,
but if you look,
also listen to us.
If you look on the
Spotify
line where they have the history on the YouTube, we're in that history history line. I mean,
that's good.
They got us in there. So
we're not the best historical scholars, but we try.
We're not the best scholars in the world, but let me tell you something. People are listening to us.
Yep.
You don't imagine the people that are listening to this podcast, and they're listening to us. So we got to make sure that we telling the truth, and we studying the history, and we bring out biblical things too.
I want to thank you on air, Bo. You're more. We appreciate it more than you know.
Hey, y'all are a blessing to me, man. You and Boogie has been a blessing to me in my life. Your daddy, your mama, your sister, Hannah, I love her to death. She's like a little sister to me. Lane is like a sister to me. Y'all are just part of my family, bro. Yeah. Y'all are my family, really. Yeah. A godly family.
Yep.
So we're on blood too.
Well,
we're related by blood.
Well, we're related by blood, but I wouldn't say that too loud.
well, why you think I always say? A lot of people ask why you call it Brothers Just Searching. We are brothers, siblings, but at the same time, we're brothers in Christ, and we're searching for the truth. So,
we're searching for the truth.
So, but that I just want to thank you on air. I don't know if I ever did that, and thank everyone that supported us and prayed for us. And as you said, God's going to grow. We just got to trust Him. We're doing something right. The other day I said that the devil's been attacking me, so I'm doing something right.
He's been attacking me
doing
too.
Something right.
Yeah, he's attacking me too.
But anyway, you can find New Beginnings Fellowship Church right now at 519 Parkway Driveway. You can look at their website, newbeginningfc.com. You can also find them on their Facebook page, New Beginning Fellowship Church. You also can find Coteau Holmes Fellowship Church on Facebook. Send us a message. We had somebody reunite with my mom and dad through that page. So go ahead if you have any questions on spiritual or any questions at all. Just give us a ring. We'll be happy to answer. So until next time, Bowen. Anthony. I'm Isaac from Brothers Are Searching again. Thank you again for listening. We hope you have a blessed and wonderful day, evening, wherever you are. Remember, Jesus Christ is on the throne. He will never be dethroned, and he is coming back someday for us. Hope you're ready, because he's coming back soon. If not ready, get with us. We'll tell you how to be ready. So until next week, you be blessed and encouraged.